everybody. Welcome to another episode of UNWIN with June and Glenn. Man, do we have a spicy episode for you guys today. We're taking a break from our usual kind of lighthearted conversations, and I'm excited. I'm nervous for this topic.
Kind of nervous too. Feeling, Glenn. Pretty nervous.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I think it is something that we need to talk about, something that needs to be addressed. And on my part, I'm a little nervous in terms of how well I can speak on it. I will preface by saying, I'm not the most well-versed with everything that's going on. I do have my opinions. I'm not super well read up with everything, all that's going on right now, and I'm not the most political guy either. But yes, I still think it's important to talk about. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I am also not as well, read up on this subject as I once used to be. But I mean, I've definitely been keeping up with, what happened last year with, all the protests, like the Black Lives Matter movement and all that, and right. I kind of keep my eyes and ears, open, and I read Instagram posts or, people sure. or like videos that people share on stories and stuff like that. So, I do have a basic understanding, and I did some research, but again, to your point, I'm not, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm like some kind of expert or whatever. So, I think this will be a learning experience for both of us, and I think it'll start discussions and stuff like that, which I think is the most important thing when it comes to these kinds of things. So yes, damn, I'm fucking nervous. Fuck, I'm like fucking speaking properly and shit. I'm like, oh my god, no sir, I'm not read up on anything like that anymore.
You know what though? Let's start off with the glass, with the drink. I know you already started drinking.
I did.
And today, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm actually drinking a White Claw. This is not sponsored.
Ooh.
I would love to. How cool would it be if we got sponsored by a hard seltzer? That'd be so dope.
That would be crazy.
But
what
I don't
flavor?
have wine on me yet.
What flavor?
I have 2 to 3 flavors on me so that I don't have to keep going back and forth, because I can just down these. First off, I'm going to start off with a ruby grapefruit.
That's a good one.
I do like this one. So I am going to...
Nice.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking something called, or from a company or whatever, called Ménage à Trois.
Ménage?
Which I think means threesome.
Yeah. Well,
in French.
Ménage à trois. Ménage, yeah, that's a threesome.
Or how do you say it? Ménage à trois or some ménage à trois?
Wait, I literally know the word, but now that you said that new word, I forgot what the original ménage à trois. Isn't it ménage à trois?
I think so.
Isn't that how Americans say it or whatever? But ménage à trois, that's a threesome.
It is a prosecco, and it is a sparkling wine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, depending on
it's pretty good though.
How this night goes, you might have a ménage à trois.
Okay, that is definitely on my bucket list for sure. No, I'm just playing.
You're not kidding at all.
No, I am. My sister's probably listening to it. She's probably like, "Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed of your fucking brother."
Your future girlfriend is gonna listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh, so I heard you want a threesome." Anyways, cheers.
Isn't that on every guy's bucket list? If we're being honest, like who's gonna turn down that offer?
Well, I don't know about bucket list. I think it's safe to say that every single person has thought about it. I think that's safe to say.
That's fair.
Like every single person has thought about the idea.
Yes.
Of it. And
yeah, same. Yeah, me too. That's
but actually going through with it is a completely different thing. Like fantasizing about it and actually wanting to go through with it or going through with it is a completely different thing.
Okay. I hear you.
I don't think I could ever pull that trigger. But I mean, obviously, I've thought about it. Every single person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But I don't think. But that's another topic. Anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand. We are diverging already. Are you not even going to cheers with me? Just gulp
fuck!
that
I always
down?
do this. I feel like I always disregard your feelings. I'm so sorry, dude.
It's actually kind of hurtful.
Every
episode.
I know.
Every single episode.
Literally every episode.
Start drinking before me.
I know.
Well, cheers, guys. It's a recurring theme. Sorry for all the incoming burps. All the carbonation really makes me. Oof.
Yeah, this wine
Anyways.
is carbonated as well, so I'll try my best not to burp, but
We're already starting on a downhill slope, so we'll see how this turns out. But back to the topic. Yes, we didn't even get to address it. We are talking about the recent attacks on Asian Americans. Specifically, it seems like the elderly community.
yes, I feel like that's what's
demographic.
most alarming for me. It's like,
Right?
yeah,
So, okay, so I want to assume that I'm going to assume that people listening have no idea what this is or no idea what we're talking about. Although, I mean, obviously a lot of you guys are already up to date. But for the people that have no idea going on, Glenn, do you want to catch them up real quick?
yes. So I'm just gonna go through a couple of the bigger headlines that I've seen recently. So the first one would be an 84-year-old man from Thailand died in late January after being attacked on his morning walk in San Fran. Days later, a 91-year-old Asian man was violently shoved to the ground in Oakland's Chinatown. 64-year-old woman was robbed outside a Vietnamese market in San Jose, California. 61-year-old Filipino man was slashed in the face last week on the New York City subway. And I also want to add in a couple more. I think you sent me one where like someone's mother was robbed.
Why I sent you one like today.
Today,
This
yeah.
happened, this happened. I don't know when it happened either. Like it went viral. It went viral today, but it could have happened yesterday or something.
Right.
But yeah, a man in Flushing, New York, just pushed a woman, a mom, in broad daylight, and she fell and hit her head on the concrete and had to get like 5 to 10 stitches. But luckily,
I believe she passed out from that too. Like she passed out from hitting the ground.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
did knock out. That is so scary.
And then sometime last year, I remember there was an Asian woman that was attacked with acid. Like someone threw acid on her face while she was taking out the trash, just randomly.
Okay.
And yeah.
Look.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, so that's just to set the tone. I mean, if you're not bubbling from that, you know what I mean, like already. Obviously, I'm a little biased because like these are all like, Asians, and you know these are my people. But you know what I mean. It's just like just those headlines alone, those acts of aggressions alone. It's just like what? and before we even get into this whole race thing, my thing is like people that hurt, kill, whatever, attack the elderly, or like the two opposite sides of the spectrum, like kids, babies, and the elderly, right? Like they have to be the lowest of the low. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. It's like they definitely have micro penises for sure. Like they're angry at the world about some like who does that? Like how cowardly do you have to be to attack someone from any race? You know?
Yeah.
Like it's just
Before
like an old guy with a fucking cane, and like pushing. Like I don't understand it. Like I don't understand. Like how can you live like that? You know?
It's not even not even justifying, but just it's not like the first one, the 84-year-old Thai man. It's not even like they were in an argument or dispute and it escalated.
Right.
This man was minding his own business, walking, and have you seen the footage?
I have. It's very disturbing. Very disturbing.
It just brought he just sprints and blindsides him and just tackles him, and he's out cold. I mean, which led to his inevitable death. But
So I do want to say that I mean obviously like there's no like actual proof or evidence, right, quote unquote, that these are racially motivated.
Sure.
But you know authorities and you know advocates, are saying that, anti-Asian sentiments and attacks have been like, brewing for months, which I believe is actually more than just months. I feel like this has been happening since the start of COVID,
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
so I guess I
For
guess
sure.
I guess the question that I want to present is, do you believe that COVID has a part to play in these attacks,
In the
which would be racially motivated?
100%.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, right when the coronavirus hit and like became a pandemic, I mean it. I mean, you remember like everyone called like the Wuhan virus,
Mm-hmm.
like
The Chinese
I mean
virus.
the Chinese virus.
Like, why do y'all have to eat bats? Like, why do y'all do that?
Right,
Yeah.
and like there was like definitely a barrage on Asians and Asian Americans, and even in the comments, right? It was just
Mm-hmm.
like it was very targeted towards Asians, and um, yeah, I mean, I people weren't even trying to hide that on social
Mm-hmm.
media on the
Yeah, they
comments.
weren't. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's like the interesting thing is like whenever I see like Asian comments, like a comment, racial comment related to Asians, it's so humorous and like that gets tons of likes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No one would dare to venture, no one would dare to make like a black joke,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people do, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, that would get just
It
shut
wouldn't. It
down.
wouldn't. It wouldn't fly as much as the Asian jokes, for sure.
Right, for sure. And like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
yes.
You
To
know
answer
what?
your question, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I remember when like the virus first hit, and the label on COVID was, Wuhan virus, Chinese virus. Like, there was like a stretch where I was like very self conscious of being outside, you know,
Mm.
because I knew, especially in the South, like I knew that, a lot of people thought that way, that we were to blame, even though we had nothing to do with Wuhan. Like, as long as you look a certain way, like I knew that, I was getting looks
Oh yeah, for
because of
sure,
that, and there was a
for
stretch
sure.
where like I was like scared to like, cause like sometimes like you have to cough, but then like you don't want to cough around, maybe
Dude.
like a white person or like a white woman or whatever, because like, like there was a specific moment where I was at Kohl's or some shit, and I was like checking out, and I had like really bad allergies. And oh my god, I was like squirming my pants because I was like, dude, do not sneeze, because she's right next to you. Like, what the fucking atmosphere in the world is right now, and um, yeah, it was. I haven't felt that kind of I don't know, like fear or shame to be Asian in a very long time, until very recently.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, uh, yeah, that's tough. I mean, I will say it's like same, and like, dude, I'm a cougher. Like, I cough. I always have
Yeah.
like something stuck in my throat, and like, I'm
Mm-hmm,
always like
mm-hmm,
clearing my
mm-hmm,
throat and stuff.
mm-hmm.
And so that was so tough, and like you can't do that in public.
Yeah.
And it's it's such a tricky conversation, and I want to have a future episode where we invite um on other guests too, and just have like these kinds of discussions like outside, like non-Asians too,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm. For sure.
And I will start off by saying, when I faced that sort of, racist remarks, or the being self-conscious and just kind of like just all those feelings, right? I will say I did take a moment where I had to reflect and sympathize with just the black community. I was just
Mm-hmm,
like,
mm-hmm,
man, how much they've gone through,
mm-hmm.
and like the things that go through their minds just stepping outside, and I mean just like everything, all the oppression, and like
Yeah.
even down to the things where conversations where parents have to have with their kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like when raising a child, as a black parent raising your kid, you have to have like difficult conversations regarding the police, regarding just like basically just sitting them down and be like, hey, here's what to expect. This is expect racism, and like here's how to like catch, like here's how to
like stay alive,
catch it.
basically, you know.
Yeah. And, like survive.
Like
And that's that was pretty sad.
Yeah, I feel like
that
that whole incident that I just described was like a very small glimpse into, you know, what it's like to be followed like at a store, you know, as a black man or woman, like, and obviously they weren't looking at me crazy because I was trying to steal things, right? That was in their mind, but they were looking at me because of COVID or whatever. But like I could see why like that would piss you off, you know,
dude.
like I find like, cause like, you know, like I like, no matter how much I read up on, you know, stories like that, like it's hard for me to relate because I've never experienced it, right? But because I experienced that moment, I was like, oh shit, like, yeah, like that shit would make me so mad and make me very tired of, you know, society and, you know, and like the way that society treats me, you know. So, yeah, it was very eye opening, to say the least, you know.
I will say fast forwarding to now, ever since like it's been almost a year, right? Like right around a year.
Yeah.
When COVID hit. Fast forward to now, I will say I think there's a lot of pent up frustration within a lot of Asian Americans. Just like this frustration is like, when are we gonna have our time? When are we gonna have our moment of recognition? In the sense of recognition in the sense of like, in terms of like everything that's happening, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I think there is some sort of sense of frustration where whether the major media networks aren't really talking about it. And I had like a crazy, shocking moment where I brought this up to a non-Asian, right? Like a friend, and they had no idea this was happening.
Yeah, you told me about that. No idea. And I was actually so fucking shocked. I was like, what?
Isn't that crazy? And,
that is crazy.
I have multiple stories where a friend of mine we're talking to like a group of white people, and then like they're just like and was sharing that, and they were like, oh, this is our first time hearing about this kinds of stuff. And it's just like it just goes to show, like, it obviously the Asian community hears about it first, you know, but it seems to never go outside of that, outside of the Asian circle, and that's the saddest part.
Why do you think that is? If you have an opinion on that, like, why do you think it doesn't really get, you know, the attention that it deserves?
I think there's there's a lot. There's multiple reasons, but just one of them, I think, unfortunately, especially with the national news, I think it's not part of the narrative.
Right.
I think it's not clickbait enough. Like, it won't sell. It's not gonna make them enough money or whatever. It's not a hot topic enough for them to address, right? And it's not part of the narrative to talk about Asian Americans right now, right? And especially, like, rightfully so, with all the whole, you know, Black Lives Matter things going on and everything like that, right? I mean, that needed to be addressed, and that was being addressed, and I do respect a lot of the Asian Americans that stood by that, right? But you know, I think there are some underlying things about just Asian Americans as well too.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things to address amongst ourselves.
I agree.
I think there's a lot of unhealthy things happening within ourselves, and I think we're attacking each other too, and I think it's just, there's a lot of confusion, and a lot of people just don't really know how to go about it. First off, I want to say, shout out to David. So he made like a public, like, he did one of his rants that he does, and in his car, and he articulated a lot of points really well. I recommend you guys listen to that. If anything, I think he summarizes what this entire episode might talk about in a matter of like 3-4 minutes.
Yes, I agree.
He did bring up a lot of good points, so go watch that. But one thing that he did say is like, you know, people do process things differently, and I completely agree. That's something I've been feeling and thinking. People internalize and process grief differently, and people help in different ways. People, I mean, right? And just like, and so for like, yeah, one thing I definitely agree is like the people, these like the woke people, you know, like people that like try to be so super woke on social media, and all it is just like stroking your own ego. It's just like you just want to get yourself off, and like just to show the world that how woke you are, that how, you know, active you are in the community. And the people that like bag on other people for not posting on their story, posting on their, making a post is like you're a part of the problem. I'm like, dude, a big F you to those people too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're being so unproductive. It's so unproductive.
Yeah.
And just because people aren't, you have no idea what they're doing. They could be, for all you know, donating, helping out, spreading the word outside of social media. I mean, you know what I mean? Just because you're the type of person that uploads every single thing just for the world to know, you know what I mean? And I don't know. That's just like, I will say that side kind of really irritates me.
Yeah. I would have to agree with that. Like, I hate, you know, like virtue signaling, like, you know, things like that, where like I get that you're angry, but like this whole like holier than thou, like, you know, like this whole like I just feel like I just see so many of our people just being very like condescending, you know, like with their words. And I'm like, listen, like if you're trying to get someone to, you know, rally with you, like what's honestly the best way to go about it, right? Okay, like I'm sure there are going to be some people that will get fired up by, you know, like piercing words and like, you know, condescension. But like at the same time, like for the most part, like for example, like let's say I'm one of those people that you're talking to and I'm like really not about it. Like why would I fucking rally because you're fucking like yelling at me? You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't make any sense, you know?
What incentive do I have?
Yeah, like what like who are you to talk to me like that, you know? And obviously I'm speaking from as if, you know, I had that kind of mindset, but yeah, I just think it's more counterproductive than it is productive, you know, to be talking like that to your fellow, you know, like your peers and stuff. Like it just comes off off-putting, you know? So I think there definitely needs to be less of that, you know?
I have a question, and this is something I struggle with and I don't know the answer to. I just want to start a discussion. And I this is something that a lot of people are probably thinking about. But it's like, I don't know how to go about this either, but especially with like when the whole Black Lives Matter movement was happening, and still is happening. One thing that I found hard to navigate was like there were two school of thoughts, and there were two like comments going on where people, Asians would talk about about Black Lives Matter, BLM movement, but at the same time other Asians were like, what about us? What about all the stuff that's going on with us, right? And I'm gonna start off by saying I don't really agree with the people that are like the Asians that were talking about Black Lives Matter or telling the other Asians to like shut up. It's like shut up, like how dare you? It's like all the focus should be on Black Lives Matter, and then just shutting them down. I don't agree with that part. I don't think it's so tough because like I don't know if it's like even like a comparison game, right? Sure, if you want to compare, obviously, you know, Black Americans are the most oppressed race in American history, right? Clearly, I mean they've gone through held him back. But it's just like I can't help but feel for the people that like did feel a sense of confusion and frustration. It's like, okay, like I'm all for Black Lives Matter. I'm all for that, but like, are we going to have a time for ourselves? And it seems, and it still seems like we haven't. So in that sense, I'm curious too, you know. But then the people that like totally shut them down, it's like, how dare you? Like I'm like, dude, I'm like, how can you not empathize with that? You know?
Right. I think for me, my perspective on that is like, I don't have a lot of sympathy for people that were asking, what about me or what about us? Because, listen, like, I feel like we as a minority group, like, we do a very bad job of coming together. You know, I don't like. I feel like we don't really have too much, what is it, like capital to be saying stuff like that, because we don't even assemble. We don't set up protests. We don't set up rallies. We don't do a good job of that. You know, so it's like, so for me, like from my perspective, it's like I feel like that would be fair to say if we did a better job of, coming together and doing what the Black Lives Matter did, or movement did, where they really brought people together and brought them out to the street and really voiced their frustrations. You know what I'm saying?
I will say this.
And I feel like that has to do with our culture as
exactly.
as Asian Americans as well. Like we don't want to cause trouble. Like we kind of keep our head down, work hard. Like if it doesn't affect us, it doesn't really matter to us type of mentality. And so yeah, go ahead.
For me, I can agree with you to a certain extent, but the part where I disagree is like I don't necessarily see that as a fault, or I don't see that as a con, in terms of like a cultural difference thing. Like unfortunately, in one perspective, we might not be as outspoken, or we might not be as like aggressive than other races in general. And where we've kind of, I mean the whole Asian American, the history of Asians migrating to America, and just like we have this kind of cultural background and mentality of just kind of keeping our head low and not being in the spotlight, not drawing attentions to ourselves. And that's one thing I love about our culture is like we're not as egocentric, and we're more I think we are more like, we take the focus off ourselves. And even in like, one thing I noticed in Korea too, just like everyone's more conscious of the other people, like subway etiquettes. You will never see that in America. Subway etiquette, like stuff like that. And just like I do see less of an egocentric mentality. And I think there are a lot of traits that deserve to be praised, but it just doesn't translate. Maybe it just doesn't translate well in terms of protesting, in terms of speaking out and feeling, I don't know, maybe it's just like this feeling of like we feel like we are not allowed to say anything, and like we kind of just like go with the flow. But like as a point David So made, it's like what did he say? Don't mistake, or don't take our peace for granted. Or I'm totally butchering it. But he was just saying like,
I remember that part.
Asian people are a lot more peaceful, and that resonated with me a lot. It's like, just because we are more passive and peaceful, like watch out. Like, I mean, he was taking the more like kind of like watch out approach. Like you don't know what we're capable of, and I like that too.
Yeah, I think I definitely hear what you're saying, and I agree with most of it. But I do believe when it comes to this situation, I think our culture that's based around respecting your elders, your authorities, I feel like that's a con in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not as quick to, cause trouble when obviously like our elderly are getting killed. Maybe I mean obviously these are all assumptions. You know what I'm saying? But it's like for me personally, I feel like that is a con, especially in like American society.
Okay. Yeah, I will say, like, I mean, wasn't there like a protest held recently? I mean,
There was.
in Oakland or something.
There was
I don't
one in Oakland, and I think 500 people came out.
Mm-hmm. I do agree with you to a certain extent, where it's like I think that there needs to be more of a push to, like, coming together. I do kind of agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I also do think that, like, and this is not even comparing any races, but just because we're not going out of our way to draw attention with, like, the protesting, that's tough. I don't have a solution. I don't have an answer per se.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I do see that a lot of the advocacy starts and stops on social media, on Instagram.
Yeah,
I do.
I agree.
Me included.
And yeah, me included as well.
Yeah.
Very, very much.
I will say that. Hold on, I'm gonna open up another can.
Okay,
Let's take a break. Oof. But okay, back to the point where, like, the fact that, like, nobody even knows about this outside of the Asian community, that's a red flag. That's huge. You know what I mean? I do think that we're still not getting the coverage that we need. And so to that point, I recently saw, like, certain people in the spotlight and notoriety, like Tim Cook, post a tweet about, like, addressing these issues, and people that are, like, partly Asians, like Olivia Munn and other people, have been talking about it. And so I know we talked.
Trevor Noah had like a little segment too.
Yes, Trevor Noah did that.
I fucking love Trevor Noah, dude. He's
I know we talked about this off camera, but I know that you think that a lot of times it can be, like, PR work, right? And so,
yeah, I mean, listen, if you're a big company like, you know, Nike, Apple, Samsung, you know, listen, like, the PR team is there for a reason, you know, but I think you know, I think I'm more jaded about, you know, statements like that and, you know, donating. But I think the thing that you said to me that really kind of I guess, like, unjaded me in a way was, like, you were like, you know, like, at the very least, you know, if someone like Tim Cook or Trevor Noah, well, I mean he's not even affiliated with a company, but like right. Tim Cook, or like maybe like Nike, like donate or whatever, right? You said that like, at the very least, like, it's drawing attention to the issues. Yeah. So I think that at the very least is always a plus. But yeah, I don't know. I just have a hard time, you know, believing, you know, companies like Apple, that they really are about things like that when they, you know, they make iPhones and fucking, like, sweatshops and, you know, things like that. So and listen, like, I fucking have an iPhone, you know what I mean? So, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like one of these, like,
I have iPhone and Nikes. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, literally, like, Nike's like one of my favorite sporting apparel companies, but it's, you know, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. So I will in that sense, like, I am a little jaded. Yeah.
So I will say this, and this is, like, my challenge for you, right? And so I agree. I mean, like, I'm such a pessimist when it comes to, like big corporations and companies. It's like I mean, for people to not even acknowledge that there's always some sort of ulterior motive, whether it's to boost their wokeness, and just, like, it's all PR. I mean, right? I agree with you on that. Mm-hmm, but
and same with me. So whenever I post, you know, things on stories, like, I care, but, like, my care ends with that post, you know, a lot of times. You know what I mean? And so, like, I just want to be honest with y'all. Like, I'm not trying to sound, I don't know, that, like, oh, like, I've been through this for fucking years and I'm, you know, whatever. Yeah. But it's just like, look, I mean, like, I'm right there with them too. So it's like, yeah.
Even as, like, a quick sidebar, what's that book? Like, the famous book talking about, at the end of the day, everyone only really cares about themselves. Every single thing is intrinsically motivated. It's like, is motivated just for, and if I had to give a black and white answer, I agree with that. Mm. Like, that book, I didn't read it, so I don't know the entire premise, but
I would have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, to your point about the whole story thing, dude, it's more of like a reflection on yourself of just like trying to appear a certain way. If I had to be completely honest, right?
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But
I care up to a certain point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's very hard for me to say and kind of shitty for me to say, but it's like, yeah, for me right now, it's like my activism stops on Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
As I would argue a majority of people. But back to what you're saying about the whole like people um, on a higher like spotlight, right? And such as Tim Cook. My one challenge and encouragement for you is like I agree, but at the same time it's like seeing it from that other side. It's like it shifts the focus off of that pessimism, regardless of what his intentions were, regardless of if it was, let's say it was just purely to just boost Apple sales. Like it was just a marketing move. Let's just even argue that point. Exactly though, like back to my main point is like I'm still super optimistic and happy that he's reaching millions of people through that one tweet. And then to the point that we just made before, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that had no idea that there were attacks against Asians might, even a fraction of those hundreds of thousands might have Googled what is happening, like attacks on Asians, you know?
Yeah.
And so that alone, I'm thankful for, and like I can like leave it at that, regardless of what the ulterior motive might be. You know what I mean?
Listen, I just want to say, man, Apple, your prices are fuck you, man. You fucking put out a fucking new phone every fucking, it's like fucking $2,000 now, dude. Fuck you.
And I still buy it every time.
And I still fucking buy it. I'm still making payments on my fucking iPhone 11, dude. Fuck me.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. I will say that. God damn it. But, dude, I mean, it's tough. I mean, even on social media, being just there's like a common struggle. Asian struggles, or being racist against Asian is not racist. There's just like there's theme going on, or, you know what I mean? This narrative.
Yeah, I think people still know that's racist, but
I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating.
I feel like Asians are just one of those race groups that.
Dude, we because the people making those comments and the remarks, they know that there's gonna be no repercussion.
Exactly. Like, I mean, like, there might be a little bit, but, you know, like, you're not gonna get canceled, you know, if you make an Asian joke versus, like, a really bad black joke as a white person. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Oh man, like Charles Barkley. This is kind of off topic, but Charles Barkley. I can't remember the context. Charles Barkley and the Asian reporter was on live television on a news broadcast, like debating whether it was a basketball star. I can't remember exactly who, but did something where like kind of did the whole like slanted eye, like it did the eye thing, you know, like on an interview or something. But Charles Barkley was defending said person, right? Was defending that person, saying it wasn't racist or whatever, right? And the Asian reporter, I want to say it was an Asian reporter like that was having that debate, didn't say this, but I wish she asked him one simple question, because this was, I think, the guy that did the whole like slanted eye gesture. This was on like on camera, right? And that got some flack, but then Charles Barkley went on television, went on news to defend him, saying it wasn't racist. But I wish that reporters just asked him, if an Asian like went on live television and said the N-word, would you have gotten upset about it? You know what I mean? It's just like for me, like the hypocrisy is so apparent. Like, how are you going to defend that? But if someone went on television, if an Asian went on television and said the N-word, they would have gotten executed.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's like, I feel like, you know, there isn't like, you know, when it comes to, you know, the black minority, I feel like there are like set things that you just don't say, you know. But when it comes to the Asian minority, I feel like there isn't like I feel like
Because
as Asians know, as Asians we know what is like offensive, or like we're tired of, whatever, whatever kind of jokes come our way. But I feel like it's not like a well-known set of,
sure,
things.
and you know what, and that,
Yeah.
look, and if anyone listening, if there are any like young aspiring content creators listening, Asian content creators, just like one of my requests for you guys is like understanding and catching perpetuating stereotype content is difficult, and I've been there. It's really tough, and like my one request is like, yeah, like there's certain topics that I encourage a lot of young content creators to just stop making, right? It's like I don't know, this is kind of off topic, but a lot of content creators I found, young content creators, I think it's just more ignorance. I don't think they really know what they're doing because they're getting tons of views, tons of likes, and they're blowing up because of this. But yeah, just content that just like is very intentionally perpetuating our stereotype, whether it's like playing into the eating cats and dog thing. And I think that can be done if it's done very well. It has to be done from an angle, right? But like, just like, if you're Asian American and your entire brand is talking like this, like if that's your entire brand, people don't realize the only reason why you're viral is for the Ching Chong accent. And that's perpetuating, in my opinion. But that's actually okay. Let's stop there because that's a whole other thing I really want to get into. I don't want to sound like I'm on some high horse. Like there are definitely things that I need to constantly like recheck myself too. Like, am I doing something that's representing whether it's a specific race group like Asians or just like genders? Like I do a lot of female characters. I always have to check myself. Like sometimes some of the content I put out might not be representing like women in the right way, right? Or like in the most truthful or whatever. That's like a whole other thing. That's something I struggle with as well. But with that said, it's tough because I do think that there's a lot of change that needs to start within us. Okay, look, with all that said, like I want to bring up something that you touched upon earlier, where like a lot of these attacks on Asians and the elderly, there's no proof that it's racially driven. And just to address the elephant in the room, a lot of these articles and headlines, sorry for the noise, first of all, cons of living in K-Town, there's always so much noise, but just to address the elephant in the room, a lot of them have been by African Americans, right? And I just want to preface by saying, look, that I personally just see no reflection as like this represents the whole race or whatever. Yeah. And I loved seeing all these articles, especially on Instagram. A lot of like Black Americans have commented and like have really shown a lot of sympathy and be like, hey, we just want to let you know, like, this is not a representation of us, our community, and we're really sorry and we really feel for you. And so shout outs to that. And so just this getting into this topic of racism, minority on minority racism, and I know you have like a couple of thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to preface what I'm about to say with that I agree with you. That I also don't think it's a reflection of like other minority groups as a whole. Obviously like the rally that happened in Oakland, it was 500 Black and Asian people, so I am actually very grateful for the Black minority because they are always like the first group to hop on.
That's true.
A movement that really affects us, so
That's true. That's true.
lots of love to that community. But like I do want to address like minority on minority racism because like you said earlier, like I feel like there's a lot of work that we need to do internally, right? And I think one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is exactly that, like minority on minority racism, and listen, like I grew up, in a very diverse suburb, and like I can't sit here and say that all the racist comments were from only white people, and I've gotten a lot of oh, like ching chong, you fucking chink from, you know, black people, Hispanic people, you know, just even like, you know, like
Well,
different
especially growing
Asians.
up in Georgia.
Exactly,
Especially growing
exactly,
up in Georgia.
exactly, and also vice versa. You know, like I know, you know. So one anecdote that I do want to share is, I remember this story very clearly. I was in elementary school, and it was like a Sadie Hawkins dance. I think that's where the girl asked the
Yes.
guy out. You know,
Yes.
and I remember this black girl asked me out, and
Wow.
yeah, and I remember all my friends were like, "Dude, are you gonna say yes? Are you gonna say yes?" And um, I was like, "No," because she's black, you know. And
Okay.
and I think, you know, a lot of like the racist views that our parents' generation grew up with, right?
Okay.
Because I feel like, and like you know this, I feel like our parents' generation and generations even before that, like they have a very negative view on, um, you know, races that aren't white, you know.
Right.
And I just for me personally, I just feel like that's facts. You know, I just feel like our parents' generation, like they grew up, you know, watching the news from that age where the news stations were, you know, painting black people as a menace to society, you know, with, you know, things like the LA riots or, um, you know, things like that, where whatever they were watching on the news was whatever they believed, you know. So I think, you know, and you know, I like obviously I grew out of that mentality from that Sadie Hawkins dance moment, but um, I don't think it's like just because you're anti-racist like doesn't mean that you still have, you know, like prejudices and like racist thoughts that you need to work on.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
like even to this day, you know, I still hold stereotypes. You know, like
For sure.
it's very ingrained in our
For sure.
society. You know, like how we view other minority groups based on, you know, like TV, even like TV, like Netflix roles, like they're still casting, you know,
Media, bro.
exactly like
Yeah.
media and like society, like the way they paint, you know, anything other than white is, you know, not the truth about how, you know, minority
For
groups
sure.
act and you know how they live and everything. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I just, you know, just because, yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to reinforce that idea, like, okay, like I know that, you know, I have like we're doing a podcast and we're talking about things, and you know maybe I sound holier than thou, but I just want to say to everyone that like I'm still, you know, combating these thoughts, you know, daily, you know. And I think that's where our headspace needs to be if, um, you know, if we're gonna, you know, see any, you know, change in our society. And yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
just want.
just
I know.
it's just so heartbreaking, man, to see
I.
minority groups attack other minority groups. You know what I'm saying?
It
It's
is
just
sad.
it's like
It is sad.
why?
It
Like
literally. Well, so I
if
think
yeah.
I get it. I get it in the sense that I think ignorance breeds ignorance, and brews ignorance. I think it's just like, I think it's a bigger it's a much bigger issue of this whole crab mentality.
Mm,
You know, um, where the people on top. I mean, it's like we're fighting like, and all the minority groups below. We're all fighting to like get out of it,
yeah.
and there's a much deeper underlying thing going on there,
Mm-hmm.
and so I can kind of like see it objectively and sympathize. It's tough. I'm sorry, my cats are going crazy, um, but you know that's a whole nother. It's sad to see, but the way that everything is set up and like the just the 1%, you know, ruling everything. I get that and I see that, and I agree that there's a much deeper underlying issue going on here, um, and yeah, man, it's because the majority, like the top, it's unreachable. We can't even do that, so we have like we find ourselves like attacking each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? We find ourselves like climbing on top of each other, stepping on each other's throat because level up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a whole thing. And look, and again, it's like I really don't think I'm like as well educated as I
Yeah.
could be to really expand on this, but
Yeah.
just if anyone gets anything out of this, it's more of just like a conversation starter. I think that's what's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And listen, if
mean,
you guys have any thoughts, like, cause I'm sure we said some things that you don't agree with or
right,
things like
of
that.
course.
So please leave a comment. Like I am actually
Yeah.
like very
Yeah,
very
yeah,
interested in this. Like you know this. Like I used to like write about this and shit. So like I'm very interested in race dynamics and social justice and things like that. So please leave a comment. I will try to engage in conversations with you guys as well. So.
And Glenn, you bring up a good point. I want to end on this note. I think in order for I think in order for things to be productive, in order for especially conversations like this to be productive, there needs to be this mentality, this foot of educating with a sense of love, right? Because like there's no room for productivity if it's just like, oh no, you're an idiot, you have no idea what you're saying, you're wrong, blah blah blah, right? I'm so all for civil discourse, and like you, I open up this discussion, whether in the comments, whether it's on YouTube or whatever, right? Like, feel free to like let's just start talking.
Yes.
Let's start talking. That I think like at the end of thing, if we're saying excuse my language, if we're completely just spewing horseshit, then feel free to just have that discourse, because like I hope at least we're coming off with
we're teachable,
Yeah, and I'm open to that.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I'm open to have my mind changed, and I'm open to just kind of like, I just want to like have a discussion and have discourse and just like meet in the middle and just like talk about all these other like these narratives, right? And I think that's what's important, because people just come in with such hostility,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what makes it unproductive. And it's just
Yeah.
like, are we trying to have a conversation, or are we trying to just prove each other right?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. You know what I mean?
I like that.
But I need to feed my cats. They're
Okay.
going crazy. But I don't know. Any last thoughts? Any last words?
Listen, man, you fucking listen. I don't know. It's just like fucking cowards, man. I don't know. It's just so infuriating that like these people are attacking the elderly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. You know what?
Like,
you know
dude,
what? Like,
it's like
anyone that's attacking the elderly, like, yo, like
what is wrong with you?
I'm
You know
just,
what I
like,
mean? Like, it's like, yo, like.
I need to repent for what I'm about to say, but you have a special
Special place
Satan
in
has
hell.
Satan has a very special
You
place
might
for me
already
now.
be a demon, you just don't know it, type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck you, man.
Like,
Seriously, no, fuck
I think
you.
I think Satan planted these kinds of people. Like
No,
dude,
seriously, man.
they're-
Like, what the
bro.
fuck, dude?
How it's certain things I just can't wrap my head around, and that is one of them. Like, imagine seeing someone that like is on a cane, like oh, dude, I can't. It really
It's like
gets me riled up.
like, dude, like it's not us. Like we didn't start COVID. Like we were in America with y'all, motherfucker. Like, what the fuck, dude? You know what I mean?
No, dude, yeah, I don't know. Man.
Anyways, I don't want to end on a bad note. So
Yeah, I don't.
I just want to say, hopefully, us as Asian Americans, like we don't, group all, like whatever race was attacking, like these people. Like I just hope that we kind of like individualize these people, because I know like there was like a white guy that attacked like an Asian.
Oh yeah.
And listen,
yeah.
like
right.
I still have a lot of love for white people. I still have a lot of love for black people, Hispanic, like whatever. Like I just hope that we are able to individualize these attacks and really not bolster any racist views that we might still have against these different groups.
Yeah.
So Yeah, let's just
I
let's
think that's a
just
good
let's just
place.
let's just be smart and and just do it with love, man. Truly.
Well, alrighty. Well, on that note,
Yeah.
damn.
Let's talk for sure. DM me whatever. I am up for discussion. Seriously, like I know people just say that and they don't respond, but I will literally,
Yeah,
send
yeah.
back essays and shit. Like I love talking about
Let's
this. So.
let's talk about this on Clubhouse sometime.
For sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
let's do it. But all right, man. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Always a pleasure,
It's
bro.
good talking. It's good talking to you.
I feel like we didn't crack like one joke. It's kind of weird.
I didn't
Like-
like one joke. What the hell? I feel too tense. Right
Yeah,
now.
I feel like I don't feel like myself right now. You know what I'm saying?
Next week we need to next week
Yeah,
we need
next
to
week-
talk about something
Yeah.
like just completely.
Uh-huh.
But I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we talked about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, I feel like we, as a response, or I feel like we have a responsibility to, talk about things like this with the podcast. So,
For sure.
yeah,
For
I'm
sure.
glad you're down to talk about it too. Because I feel like a lot of people
Oh,
aren't.
yeah, for sure.
Like they kind of shy away from
Yeah.
like tough conversations.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, the only reason I shy away from it is my own insecurity of like not knowing much and like not sounding knowledgeable and like I don't want to say the incorrect thing. But I think there's a place for people like me because I think a lot of people fall under that category.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I still
And
think
I'm with
I
you too.
still
I'm with
think
you
it's
too,
important.
yeah.
I still
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's important to talk.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, let's talk next time.
Yes, sir.
Excited.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Tune in next week. You guys can find us obviously on all the streaming platforms. Follow me and Glenn on our other socials. But we will catch y'all next week. And feel free to comment any topics that you guys want us to address, lighthearted or serious, because we will shoot the shit with either.
Yes. I love shooting.
Thank you
shit.
guys.
Yes.
Alrighty, y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.